part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane.
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright. You're listening to the Krypton Report.
June is fast approaching, and that is not only Superman Day, but it's also the 10th anniversary of Man of Steel. Check out our website on Facebook for the information to join, as we will be updating it, our live Man of Steel rewatch. We'll be streaming, and we will be making an online party to rewatch Man of Steel. So please add that to your calendar. And remember,
Look up in the sky.
Get ready as Krypton Report prepares for Flash Week. That's right, from Friday to Friday in June, starting the 9th, we will be doing a special 1 episode per day focusing on the Flash. We will have 2 exclusive Patreon episodes that tie into Flash Week. You can sign up for our Patreon for $1. We will have special guests for each episode, so get ready for Flash Week. One thing that I didn't get a chance to really talk about when we did our live reviewing the previous episode of Superman and Lois, because the live is, it was crazy and spontaneous because James came into town and we wanted to record something with us in the same room, which is always a blast, is in the episode we see Clark taking Lois to bed and carrying her. And then as the episode goes on, we see that he puts together a bed for her, and the final shot before the opening title card kind of mirrors the pilot when he finds his mother in her bed. And it looks like, she was also downstairs. It looks like they made a bed for Lois downstairs so she didn't have to go upstairs. And just where he's at in his emotional state with that. And I just wanted to bring that up, and I plan on revisiting the pilot over the summer and maybe even for Superman Day. So I'm recording this in the car because I came to an epiphany. Sometimes you can read a comic book and you like it, but you're just not, there's something off because you're reading the issue by issue and reviewing it, and then you don't go back and read it in trade. Then it takes 2 friends, and I'm calling out you, Grant and Anthony, to review a book, and you see it in a whole new light. And you go back and you read it and you're like, I get it now, reading it in one sitting. That's why I really believe in trade. That's why I'm talking about Superman Look Up in the Sky, or Up in the Sky. The one that was part of the Walmart deal with Tom Taylor. When it came out, we talked about it issue by issue. And I just feel like it wasn't really gelling because of just the space of in between issues. But listening to them talk, I've decided to reread it. And I started reading it today. And I'm like, yeah. This is a much better story, and it definitely is one I think that will resonate more. And I think it's one that deserves to be mentioned in the same breath as a lot of the other best Superman stories, because it is a very self-contained, and we might revisit it later on the podcast. It's been so long, but that's my thought. Welcome to the Krypton Report podcast. I am your host, Tyler, the Superman of Blue, and with me, as always, the Man of Steel himself, James Cole, the Superman of Red, which kind of bums me out because last week was so awesome. We were in the same room, and now we're back to good old talking on the internet. Hi, James.
Yep. Hey, Tyler. How's it going?
I would say it's awesome, but, can't really top last week. We had our live show and us in the same room, and it was crazy. It was fun,
yeah,
but it was crazy.
It was a great weekend. We had an amazing time.
So being apart, it's hard. It's hard for us out here on the streets, apart.
Right.
But we got some DC stuff to talk about, so we're going to kind of jump on in. One thing that kind of, I had as epiphany last week that I was like, there's all kinds of new promo material going out for the Flash. There's little 16-second trailer shorts that's popping up all over Twitter.
All over YouTube. I saw a 10 or 12 second Supergirl focused little teaser or little spot as one of the ads before Um, I think in between one of my segments of watching the CrossFit semifinals this weekend.
Sayla sneaking her cat upstairs.
Mhm.
What do you call it? They did one with the director talking about Batman and having, Michael Keaton back and just that thing. And they did one, like I saw, was, talking about, of course, the Flash's big thing is his mom. And thinking, why isn't this marketed as like a Mother's Day film? The story is about a man who loves his mom and tries to save his mom and his love for his mother.
Yeah, who changed the universe and threatens all existence because of his love for his mother.
They marketed and sold Man of Steel as like a good Father's Day film. Why not The Flash as a Mother's Day? So I got thinking about that, but also
well, it's actually coming out closer to Father's Day than Mother's Day.
I know. Like his father just goes to jail.
Right.
I sent you pictures they released, and I really hope I can find this, like their concession bundle, like little toppers for drinks, and one's Keaton Batman, the other is the Flash for like cups, Flash cups, and everything in this at the theaters and stuff. And I'm like, that's cool. Like my plan is to try to go see this movie at least twice in theaters and go to a different theater each time, see if I can find cool merchandise stuff like that we don't always get at our AMC. So that is something that I am going to seek out because I'm excited for this movie. I mean, I'm be honest, like I'm pumped. It's almost like a Trinity film. In a way, you have Supergirl as like the Superman / Wonder Woman. You have Flash as like the Superman-esque character, and then you have Batman as Batman. So
right. I mean, I wish I could go see the early screening, but
yeah, I promise I won't say anything. I'll just be like, James, see the Flash.
oh, I intend to. There are no AMC's near me.
That bums me out. I know you got Cinemark. So I'm gonna try to see AMC, and then I'm gonna try to go to Cinemark because that's the only chains that are close. There used to be another chain, but I think it sold out and went to a Cinemark. But it's like an hour away.
Oh, I can't even remember what it was before. Then it was Rave. And
yeah, Rave.
Cinemark for a long time.
There was one Rave that was up at Polaris. Though, see, I think it became a Cinemark, and then the other Rave turned into an AMC Classic. And then the Regal disappeared and became a car lot. So there's like no Regals around here. It's just there's like a couple indie theaters, but there's a really nice one in downtown Columbus called the Gateway, and I haven't been there in years. I just stay away from them downtown. But anyways, that's us talking about stuff that doesn't matter. Let's see here. Gotham Knights. This is funny. So we're still waiting. We're still holding our breath to find out if the CW is going to cancel Superman and Lois or not and what they're doing. But one thing that's been said is Gotham Knights is the cheapest DC show that the CW has ever produced. And I'm just kind of like, well, I mean, I've watched 4 episodes. There's not a whole lot of action. No one's wearing any cool suits. So, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they're not even wearing the cool leather jackets that they used to wear on Smallville.
Yeah. I mean, at least Smallville had like their own style. Like everyone wears like these cool hoodie looking things, Here they're just like, I'm Turner. I carry a sword. I'm Carrie Kelly. I just have green goggles. Yeah. It's kind of a bummer, but it just kind of cracked me up. I'm like, of course it's the cheapest thing you've ever produced. Let's see. And then talking about, we're going to get into some Titan stuff here in a minute because we love Superboy. But I guess there was talk at one point they were going to actually do a Red Hood spinoff series. Did you see that?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Red Hood spinoff.
Well, I mean, they gave him somewhat of a little bit of a redemption arc.
Yeah, they gave him
his episode.
I mean, they gave him a little bit of a redemption at the end of season 3, and then they, weaved it into this. And yeah, it's kind of a bummer. But okay, so I'm trying not to follow like too much of like the rumor hype train on stuff for Superman Legacy. Um, I have mentioned before how excited I am about the. I'm excited for the movie period just because it's Superman on the big screen again, so it means more spectacle for Superman. Um, and me and Solomon filmed a little video that's a minute long that's on our YouTube and Facebook page and Twitter. About we're starting a savings box for Superman Legacy.
Yeah, I seen that. I loved it.
I'm like, because I'm thinking about like I was telling Jania when Superman Returns came out, like I bought a bunch of stuff and some of that stuff got lost thanks to an ex fiance. She was an evil person, so glad I missed that bullet. She was pure kryptonite. That's what I say. She was like, who did Clark like in the comics that he thought he liked but was pure bad for him? Anyway, that's who that was.
Mhm.
And so I lost some of the stuff I had bought, but I was like, at the time when Superman Returns comes out, I was working full time. I was just turned 21. I was preparing to go to I was doing, college, and I was working, but I was also still living at home. So I had, some money to spend. So I bought stuff. And then Man of Steel comes and, things are a little bit different, but I didn't have my kids yet, so I bought merchandise and stuff. But now I'm like, man, my kids are here. I want to buy a bunch of merchandise. My kids are going to want merchandise too, and I'm going to buy a bunch of merchandise for them. Got 2 years. Better start saving up.
Heck yeah. I mean, heck, with the way that inflation's going, I mean, you might just be able to afford a couple of things when we get there, when the merchandise comes out.
Because I'm be like, hey, our tax return this year? Legacy.
Yeah, right. Superman Legacy merch.
We're just going to dedicate a wing to the house. But, the merch prospect is exciting. And I say that just because I love the feeling of I could just walk into Target or walk into Walmart, grab a Superman shirt off the rack, see like any Superman stuff. It's like DC in general has dwindled so far of being able to find anything in a store if it's not Batman. And that just makes me sad. So, but yeah. So that's all the news I got. You got any talk about comics real quick, James? I'll let you lead. Finish up where we did Action 1054.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely do that. So we've got the next story in the let's see, what's the name of the story here? Here we go. Home Again, Part 4 of the Dan Jurgens backup story here, where John and Gleanna, Gleanna maybe, they escape from that ship that was trying to captured them, crashed on Earth, and John rescues her. Like the ship's crashed and on fire, and he sticks his arms in, burns his arms to save her.
He's a good kid.
Yeah. She uses some time powers. She says, remember when I was trying to destroy the ship's tracking system, I did it by speeding up its process of decay, almost like pushing it forward in time. She can manipulate it both ways, and she can take his damaged hands back to before the damage and the pain. So she heals him. She tells him a story of her family, using up the resources of Pluton's resources, her planet, depleted their resources a couple of decades ago, generations ago, and the planet was dying, and the people revolted, saying that their love turned to hate because they were hungry. The rebels took charge of the Killamex and put my parents on trial, accusing the royal family of plundering Plune. Their sentence, of course, was death. She's been hunted by the death squads. She's looking for Superman to help save her planet. And John says, well, if it has anything to do with helping others, he'll do it, saying that his dad will help. Superman and Lois are looking for John. They go to his clubhouse,
Mm-hmm.
which is destroyed.
Poor clubhouse.
Yeah, pretty wrecked.
It was a dope clubhouse.
Yeah. John had told her that his dad listens for his voice, so he would be able to hear him across the world, and he would come running. And the moment he hears him calling to his dad, Doombreaker attacks with his 4 arms and his wings.
Still not 100% sold on Doombreaker as a name, but
yeah, and not quite yet. Kind of wondering what the idea is, where Doombreaker is going. You know,
yeah.
I mean, Doomsday is kind of a cool character, but it's, I mean, it's kind of hard. It's kind of like Bane, you know. Bane's biggest thing was when he broke Batman, and that was his appearance. So, kind of the same thing with Doomsday. His biggest thing was killing Superman, and you know, how do you get past that?
Yep.
So John and the princess are waiting. A Killimek shows up. Says, "You cannot escape. You will stand trial." And he says, "We can take him." And she says, "Simple boy, how is it possible that you haven't realized? The Killimek takes my orders." He, "What? The charade is over, Killimek. Put the boy in stasis." He says, "What are you doing?" "What I've had in mind from the beginning, child. Doing what's necessary to make sure your father, the Kryptonian, does whatever I command." So clearly she's a bad guy. And she's trying to use John as a ransom instrument to make Superman do whatever she wants, which is probably subjugate her people.
Probably.
Yeah.
That
Since they stood against her family.
Surprise.
Yeah, I always thought she was too, like, her story just sounded like it was too much. It was designed to make a kid trust you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Not sure what the word is for that, but
yeah, poor John, smitten. Just wanted to be a good dude, help out.
Yep.
Women are evil.
Yeah.
JK.
We know this.
JK.
We know.
And then we got the Steelworks.
Yes, and then we have Steelworks. Steel, Engineer of Tomorrow, Part 1. John Henry Irons is in a fight with Amalgam. Some sort of cyborg.
Makes sense.
I'm assuming he's probably more of a Steel villain.
That's a good assumption.
Yeah. Maybe we've seen him go against Cyborg or something too. Who knows? But big old knockdown fight, and John gets major German suplex onto the back of his head, and he's unconscious. And Natalie is trying to get in touch with him over comms, and John kind of has you get to see John throughout his origin, where he quits because the corporations were using his designs to make weapons, and he wasn't about that. He got into construction. Superman saved his life. He picked up the steel suit. He made the steel suit after Superman died. Superman, this is a really cool interaction here. I'm not sure if this is something in the book when they meet, or if this is kind of just a new interaction written. But a lot of people tried to fill my shoes, claim they were me, but not you. 'Cause I'm not you. I'm just a man you saved at a work site. You told me I'd do the same if I could, and now I can. And that's why you have my blessing, John. My S stands for hope. But one day you'll have to figure out what it means for you. You know, you didn't have to remove your helmet, right? X-ray vision, right? So yeah, it's nice. It says, "Wake up, John. You forged a new path not bound by corporate greed, but one that beats for the need of people. You are built for this. And John regains consciousness. His suit comes back online, and he is talking with Nat. He starts back in again against Amalgam, and he takes him down. And then Nat says that John can't, even at max speed, you won't make it in time. He says he's on his way. There's no way, John Henry Irons, Mister. If you're really if you're early, you're on time, and if you're on time, you're late. Is going to make it on time. He says you're right, but Steel can. She's like, no way. And so John lands at the Steelworks press conference just in time. Comes through the ceiling, and it repairs itself, which is pretty sweet.
It is very sweet.
And he unsuits himself in front of the press conference. I'm Dr. John Henry Irons, engineer and CEO of Steelworks. I'm also the hero known as Steel. I say hero because there's nothing super about me. I'm just a man, and like many of you, my life was saved by Superman, a debt none of us can ever truly repay, but we can try. That's why I'm here. It's why we're all here, to help where we can, to pick up the pieces and hammer them back into place, welding them together stronger than they've ever been before. I know a lot of corporations have made you promises, but you also know I quit the private sector to use my hands to build up the city we know and love. Now I need your help. We need to build together. Steelworks and the S on my chest stand for truth. And with your help, we can build the city of tomorrow. And just like we trusted in American Steel, you can trust in John Henry Irons. We've got somebody watching on as John Henry Irons delivers his statement. And breaking news, fugitive arms dealer Amalgam was stopped today by the hero known as Steel, or as we'll now know him, John Henry Irons, the Steelworks CEO. Authorities were planning to escort the villain to Strikers Island Penitentiary, but as officers arrived on the scene, they were attacked by drones that quickly fled, taking Amalgam with them. Somebody saying, "Be seeing you soon, John." He's got flying balls around him. I mean, the only person I know for that is Michael Holt, Mr. Terrific.
Yeah.
But I don't know that Mr. Terrific's the bad guy of this story, or future bad guy of John Henry Irons.
That would be weird.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what this is. This might be somebody else. I don't know.
I don't know enough of I've never read Steel by himself. I've always just read Steel as part of where he appears in Superman stories.
Right. Same.
So, but all right.
So that is the rest of the stories from Action Comics 1054.
That James.
I am looking. Yes, that I did not finish. I have now. I am looking forward to the Steelworks book that comes out. I'm looking forward to John Henry's new book.
Yeah, I am too. All right. So next we have Superman number 4, correct?
Superman or Superboy?
Yeah, let's do Superman number 4. And then we'll do the Superboy Man of Tomorrow.
Okay.
So Superman Dawn of DC. Dawn of DC.
I was gonna say, Deceased actually just ended.
I like this cover because it's reminiscent of Doomsday, but it says cut down by the kryptonite claw. And having just read a book that involved Metallo with multiple forms of kryptonite, this was really cool looking.
Oh, interesting.
But the book opens, and I love these, the way the panel grid is and this artwork. And it's this, I didn't recognize who it was at first. And we have Pop-Tarts, the most important thing, popping up.
Oh, yeah,
And
Breakfast Champions.
we have a woman talking, and she's yelling at somebody and says, "If you're late again, Lois won't be happy." Then we hear something knocking at the door. She opens the door, and it's Dr. Farm looking all weird with people with like giant pills for heads. And
Yeah.
says, "Good morning," or is it top of the morning, tell ya? And it's too early for you, that creep. And basically, we find out that she transforms and it's Silver Banshee. And then he pulls out this kryptonite claw, something, and it turns her back into Siobhan. And then he looks into her eyes and basically is like, if you follow my every order, I will give you what desired, or I will kill everyone you love. And her eyes turn red. And I was like, dang, that's tough. But then we get Luther still in prison, and he overhears people talking crap about basically people who commit crimes who have money. They're putting down Superman. And this is probably one of my favorite things. Lex Luthor actually takes a part of an acorn, flicks it, and shoots it right into the dude's mouth. And he's choking. And then you find out he was allergic to peanuts. And
which is funny because Lex says acorns technically don't have the allergens that lead to anaphylaxis.
Exactly.
So it really shouldn't have caused that.
And Superman's like, he almost died. And Lex is just like, he was rude. And, it's Lex pitching to Superman what they need to work together. And then this is what I thought was really neat, was Lex says, recently, you've been doing all of this. And it's 4 panels of different adventures that Superman has been on. Brokered peace between the 2 kingdoms that have been at war for centuries. Found the sword of Imperiex. Solved a 100-year-old alien murder mystery. And helped the world on scales big and small. And
it looked like he was working with Ray Palmer and I'm guessing probably Ryan Choi.
Yeah.
To Adams. And Superman is shrunken as well.
And then
with a special suit, which looks pretty cool.
We get him asking Lex to tell him about, these Dr. Farm and Graft. And then Lex goes into kind of his origin story of him being a hero when he first arrived with a full head of hair, I might add. And he arrives in Metropolis looking all creepy. And this is, young Lex. I'd say, how old do you think Lex would be here? 18, 19?
I mean, it kind of depends, I mean, Lex is very intelligent. What was his schooling like beyond high school? And is this Birthright Lex kind of, who comes from Smallville?
I mean, I guess, because he talks about, leaving behind.
Mm-hmm.
And
so that's what I definitely figured early 20s at, no older than 24, 25 probably.
And then we find that he's noticing people talking about the missing homeless. He tracks down, finds Dr. Farm at the time, and basically takes him on with his own, says, you give science a bad name, and basically takes him on using his tech, finds where they have all these people locked up they're experimenting on. And he talks about the old Metropolis that he helped build the new Metropolis on top of. And Superman doesn't believe it. He's like, you're lying. And Lex is like, no, I'm certainly not. And you're so stubborn that you believe you're the only hero Metropolis ever had. Basically talks Superman into going to find out. Superman goes, finds these old ruins of the slab, and basically Lex Luthor pulls a Admiral Akbar. It's a trap. And what happens now? Superman's fighting Silver Banshee. And then we cut to Lois and Jimmy together. And Lois asks him if he's ever heard the legend of Marilyn Moonlight. And then he's kind of like seeing the story of Marilyn Moonlight.
Save the theatrics for your girlfriend, Jimmy.
And then all of a sudden, boom, Silver Banshee pops up fighting Superman. And Superman's trying to get her to stop. And he says, Silver Banshee, we need to get you to Supercorp ASAP. Please don't make me use force. You see Jimmy yelling, Superman, stop. I'm fine, Jim. You need to get out of here. No, you can't hurt her. And the final page is, I love her. And it's Jimmy in front of Silver Banshee.
So I fell in love with a supervillain, which makes sense from the beginning. Why she would be talking to somebody who would be meeting Lois Lane,
Right.
Which I wasn't sure who was talking about, and then at the end I was like, oh, that makes sense.
I was like, did Silver what's she been up to? My first thought was like, did she get a job at the Daily Planet? Like, did I didn't remember? Like, I was like sitting here like, okay. And then what do you think about Jimmy's haircut style? The way they draw his hair is kind of funny.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's a more modern hairstyle.
I know,
with a short sides and real long up top.
I like it.
Yeah, it's it's a modern hairstyle, but he's still got that classic look. He's still got his suit and his bow tie.
So here, I'm gonna ask you this quick question.
But he doesn't look like this dork that they used to draw.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you this question. There's been no prep for this, people. I'm gonna ask James right here on the spot. And there's, I will.
Oh Lord.
I will go with any opinion that James has. He's entitled to his own thoughts. Who do you think's the best Jimmy Olsen in live action?
Oh, well, dang.
He's like, crap, Tyler.
I know, right?
You don't prep me enough for stuff. Surprise.
I like a bunch of them. You know what I mean?
You get to pick one.
I know.
I'll give you two. I'll allow you to have two.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've got a soft spot for the actor who plays him in Superman Returns.
Sam Huntington.
Sam Huntington, yes, I like him.
I do too.
I really like him. I think he was able to pull off a
modern classic Jimmy.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So that's definitely one, and I mean, just out of memory, I always liked the Jimmy from Lois and Clark. The second one.
Justin Whalen. So Brian and I
that's from memory. I would go with Smallville, but it's not Jimmy Olsen. It's Henry James.
Exactly. So
as a technicality,
HJ. That's what I call him, HJ.
Gotcha.
I really think that Jack Larson, Jimmy from The Adventures of Superman with George Reeves, is still probably the best Jimmy. I think Justin Whalen was cool, but he was a little too cool. So was Michael, can't remember his last name on top of my head at the moment, who played Jimmy Olsen season 1. I think Sam Huntington could have been great, but they didn't give him enough to do. And but he is my number 2. So here's to you, James Gunn, for giving us another good Jimmy. If anyone would have said Michael Cassidy from BVS, I'm Jimmy Olsen. Okay.
Right.
But yeah, just a quick discussion. All right, Superboy Man of Tomorrow number 2. I honestly read this. I have notes. I don't know where they are. And I'll be honest, I'm not really digging this title. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just him being off-world with all these weird aliens or something. But I'm not feeling it at the moment. I don't know. It's probably just me. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, the artwork and then the at least the names, like the Cosmeteers, sounds a little
weird,
childish. I don't know, maybe. But other than that, I do appreciate Connor wanting to be a hero in his own right.
I mean, I do too.
Well, because a really big thing in this issue is nobody's coming for him. Nobody's coming to help him. Clark, Tim, Bart, Cassie, nobody from because he's been on teams,
Yeah.
he's been with teams for since the 90s. And then he's been MIA, erased from existence. So like it's an opportunity. I do like the opportunity of him being able to play the leader, be Superman for a new group of people. The way the Cosmeteers in this story are very, the means, the ends justify the means, by killing people and letting innocents die in the crossfire. And we get Connor being able to be Superman in this situation.
Yeah. Like I said, I like the idea, like everything you said, but just something about the book is just not hitting me. But I don't know. But talk about this issue, because I literally cannot remember anything that happened in this issue.
Well, it opens up at the end there. Dominator X is worried about the losses that he suffered from his clones and genetic weapons. Superboy is fighting the Cosmeteers, and they missed one of the experiments. So they go to take down the experiment, and in doing so, they almost kill a bunch of innocent bystanders. And Superboy is the one who saves them, rescues them, tries to talk to them, to the Cosmeteers, and they toss an inhibitor collar on his neck, and take him out and play the heroes of the planet. During his time unconscious, they researched him. They come to speak with him, try to talk to him, says that his story checks out, that he's from Earth, and they give him their backstory about being creations of Dominator X, that they're Daxamite, Amaskian, and Zardian, to create them. They freed a bunch of slaves. They freed a bunch of, but his operations continue. Let's see. You're mad at how you were created. Believe me, no one gets that more than I do. But you can't go in guns blazing like that. Innocent people are going to get hurt. Let me help you stop and think this through. He's like, no, can't do. He says, you don't have to become monsters to stop monsters. Let's talk about this before you storm the Nightmare's castle. He says, you'd think I'd leave this door open for debate. He says, I hate to break it to you, Superboy. We're already doing it. They're already on the attack, going after Dominator X and the rest of his weapons and his clones. Superboy uses the plasma gate, maybe, what's keeping him inside of his cell, to destroy his inhibitor collar. As the Cosmeteers are rescuing clones, one of the weapons attacks them, and it's a very powerful weapon. Says, we need to get them to the ship. How long can you hold him off? He says, I can't. This guy's growing body parts faster than I can blow them away. The Khund general, the Khund leader, is very unhappy with his order not being filled. Superboy gets his collar off and he heads on in. one of the Cosmeteers, I believe his name is Trav, gets his arm ripped off, and Superboy shows up in the nick of time, because they're all getting taken down. They're all getting attacked by, getting beat by this creature. He says, "I'm only going to say this once. You all want to live through this. You listen to me." This is where he gets to take charge. Says we can't kill him, but we can put him on ice. So they use all their powers and put him into a containment tube and freeze him. As they are trying to escape, the Coons are following them, and they say that their ship doesn't have shields to take hits from the Coon ship that's chasing them. And Connor says, "Want to bet?" And it ends. Connor is out on the ship using his powers, his strength, and his tactile telekinesis to.
I think that's one thing. Like, I don't like the tactile telekinesis. Like, I know that this is Connor's been like a weird character where they've kind of tweaked here and there. I just prefer like where he has Superman's powers, but like a less degree. You know, I don't like the tactile telekinesis for Connor because it's just one of those things. Like, where does that come from? Like, you know, like where is this weird Kryptonian power type thing coming from? It's not in Lex's genes, you know. It's not by any other Kryptonian unless you start giving Kryptonians tactile. Dang it! Start giving it the telekinesis, tactile telekinesis. So it's just one of those powers I don't like. It's something I've never liked about Superboy Connor. That's why I kind of.
I mean, it's allowed him to do some different things that others can't. It does stand him apart. Is it something to do with the splicing of the DNA that gives him some that?
I mean, honestly, if I was
warps his abilities.
If I was writing it, say now, doing something, since you know we have the what do you call it, the Lazarus reigns and everything, and doing something like where John got hit and having the electricity like pop up, doing something where Connor got hit and the tactile telekinesis is a new power that's kind of forming. That I would buy, other than just being kind of this power he's had. But that's just me. That's my 2 cents. Take it, leave it. Don't hurt me. Okay, I have some breaking news if you want it.
Yeah.
So basically, Carl's Jr. / Hardee's is doing movie tie-in stuff with the Flash. I just sent you. I saw this on Twitter. This guy's usually really reliable. I went on Hardee's website. I don't see anything yet. There's a Hardee's right by me, so I'm gonna keep checking.
There are none here.
I know that they did something with Man of Steel back when Man of Steel came out, so it's interesting why not like Burger King, but Burger King right now is doing Spider-Verse. So
something that's a little more widespread, maybe, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Hardee's and Carl's Jr.'s are all over the country, but they're not everywhere. Like, whatever happened to the good old days of Taco Bell and Warner Brothers? You know, like, it's so funny. Quick tangent. Batman 89, Taco Bell. Batman Returns, McDonald's. Batman Forever, McDonald's. Batman and Robin, Taco Bell. So, you know, I'm just saying that there's some history there. Let's get back to the bell, man. That would have been perfect, but whatever.
Yeah, no, I've never even seen a Hardee's or a Carl's Jr., I don't think.
Carl's Jr. is all out west. I had to take pictures of one when I was in San Francisco just to show my kids. You know, it's like they use the same logos and everything, just the names are different. I don't know. I don't remember why that is. But all right, so we got our comics done. Yay. We were going to start the Ruby Spears series, but they're not on Tubi anymore. And I haven't even looked on YouTube, to be honest. I don't know why I didn't think about that, but you know. But James, we did get a hold of him. James is going to watch him. So, you know, one more week. Big deal. Woo! Not, but we were
Yeah,
planning on.
I gotta pull them from you.
I was able to, secure them for James because I do have them. But yeah, I never thought about looking on YouTube. I don't know why. Maybe because I have too much going on. But now we're going to talk season 4. So not only has season 4 ended, but the show has ended in general. Titans is over. Titans being the DC's team, but also relating to this podcast, Superboy, which we talk about. So we're going to talk about Titans and kind of the series as a whole, the last, arc, and spoil the crap out of it. We're not going to do like an episode by episode breakdown. It's just going to be kind of an open discussion. So if you don't want to join for that, this is a great time to just jump off. If you do want to talk some Titans, here we go. Titans. So when Titans came back about a month ago, maybe a little bit more, it dropped 2 episodes.
Just over a month.
And we watched those 2 episodes. Janine and I did. And I'll tell you, like, I messaged you, like, you could have combined this to 1 episode. I feel like I was wasting so much time. And then we got an episode. I'm trying to remember, because Janine and I ended up watching 2 back to back because I was gone when 1 came out. So, because we got 2 episodes that were poo poo.
I watched all 6 of them this week.
That was poopay, as Jamie Tarr would say. And then the Beast Boy episode, which is probably the best episode of the entire season. So let's start there. What do you think of the Beast Boy episode?
I mean, I don't know about the best. It was pretty good.
I mean, come on. You got the I mean,
it was definitely the best of the first 3.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's like saying me standing here talking was the best of the first 3.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on. Like, you got him transforming into different animals.
Yeah, that was sick. I was so happy that finally he got to transform like he should. From one animal to the next.
I can't remember. Okay. I thought it was Wannabeast, but he's actually connected to Wannabeast. He's a different it starts with, it's not Primal Beast or something like that. It's something like that. The character, he's like Wannabeast. Who's in it? Talking about the Red. The Red. We should just title this episode The Red, and then had Chevelle playing.
I loved it though. That guy is from Mike and Molly.
Oh,
so
nice.
It was just really great seeing him, the episode, or the actor specific.
And then, it was interesting because they did, like, Beast Boy got to meet at the end of the episode the Doom Patrol cyborg, which was weird and cool at the same time, because like you and I talked about, like, the Doom Patrol show is on a different Earth than Titans is, and we haven't really touched base with the Doom Patrol since season 1, and Cyborg wasn't there. But we know that this Earth's chief was a really bad dude, and we learned that more, that he's the one that released the virus that killed Beast Boy's parents, and then he turned around and saved Beast Boy. Like, I think that was like really heavy to get without really ever getting to go anywhere with it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's more of just a callback to how bad Niles was, so that way, like, before it's over, Gar got to get that knowledge like the rest of the Doom Patrol did.
Yeah. Even though we didn't really see this Doom Patrol's journey. We haven't, like I said, we haven't touched base with them since season 1. But I thought it was interesting. All the little cameos showing Beast Boy traveling the multiverse in the Red. Of course, his interaction with Stargirl was awesome.
Yeah, I expected more. So after it was over, I was like, "Oh wow, that's all." I was like, "That's pretty cool," but wow, I expected more.
Yeah, I did too. I wasn't sure how they were going to do the crossover, but I did expect more. But it still worked. I'm not mad about it. It was nice. Stargirl season 3 is amazing. If anyone hasn't watched it yet, that was probably, as of right now, I would say the two best DC shows that haven't dipped in quality. Stargirl has only 3 seasons, and Superman and Lois, and it's at season 3. It's so hard for some of the others like Flash, where they were so good for the first like 3 to 4 seasons, and then just pa. So it's so hard to kind of comment on as a whole. But since Stargirl only lasted
Yeah,
3
when
seasons,
half of the show is very
Poupe.
when half of the entire series is filler, and
Yeah.
and is full of dramatic irony just to create just to give the illusion of stakes, it falls short really fast. And I'm surprised they were able to make so many shows
Yeah.
and so many seasons full of it.
I liked just, having Garby up front. I feel like he's gotten the short end of the stick with everything. And then, of course,
Yeah, for the whole series.
The Grant Morrison cameo was pretty awesome.
I love that one. I was like, oh, look, the creator of the multiverse.
It was
well, maybe not the creator of the multiverse, but like its architect with the multiversity and the map and all that stuff.
Yeah. And I think it was a callback to another comic he did, an Animal Man, I think.
I think so.
Crap, I totally lost my thought. There was a lot more things I noticed if you turn on the captions of just the voiceover cameos that appear in it. But I love that he got to see Teen Titans Go, Beast Boy.
Yeah, he got to see Greg Sipes, Beast Boy. There was Grant Gustin from The Flash. There was.
Oh, you have to have the Flash, like.
Oh yeah. There was Swamp Thing, of course. Teen Titans Go.
Shazam.
And you saw Shazam. Yep. And then there was some voiceover stuff. Something.
It was Paul Kent from Superman the movie.
Yep, there was Paul Kent from Superman the movie, Glenn Ford, Cesar Romero as the Joker, as well as Alan Tudyk's Joker, along with Kaylee Cuoco's Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I thought it was neat incorporating the animation into the multiverse. Just kind of expanding that thought that even the animation is connected to the multiverse. So
right. Well, I mean, when they did Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans, that movie, they did various animations. They even did comic books.
Dude, I love
where
that.
The comics were like part of the multiverse.
Who are you? We're the serious versions of you. Okay, they're the serious versions.
Right.
But that episode was awesome. And then, so Connor, like I said, we're just talking in general because I can't remember episode by episode. But Connor, he shaved his head. He went more Lex Luthor, but really he was still Connor. Like he was trying to stop Brother Blood on his own. And we saw him working and being. I really like this is my favorite version of Connor. Like it's the only one we've ever actually spent time with other than Young Justice. Yeah. I really like Young Justice, but in that he was a lot angrier at first and it took some time, but I really like Josh Orpin as Connor. I would have loved something where just give me an episode of like a super special where it's like Segel opens a portal and Segel drops in and he pulls all the super people and it's Tyler Hoechlin with Jordan and Segel and Connor.
And this Connor, not Smallville Connor.
Yeah, this Connor. And boom, with Sasha Supergirl, just throw her in there too, just to make it even more fun.
Right. Joshua Orpin's great. I mean, he's just built like he looks like the standout, like the super character amongst the team. I thought his Lex turn was really good. He really did like push things. He really did push the limit about doing it on his own. But I do like that he didn't fully just like be this Lex analog.
Yeah.
He was still trying to do. He was doing things to still try and stop Brother Blood, or Sebastian rather, more.
Sebastian.
Yeah. But he was trying to do it on his own. He was trying to do it by himself. Kind of something we were just alluding to in his current book.
Yeah.
But I think his turn was great. His performance was awesome. And you know, they really dug into that at the very end. The last conversation him and Dick had.
Yes, that was probably
As
one of
to
the
the
best
reason
moments.
why he did what he did.
He talked about he talked about going close to the edge and doing things he didn't really want to do, and Dick gave him a great conversation about the reasons, and I really liked it. And I liked how Dick never really was against Connor, and it was Dick's, saying that everyone kind of welcomed Connor back in because they weren't sure what to think of him, and he tried to destroy, Trigon's horn and everything like that, and
That was pretty cool. Jamie was like, "Oh, it's Mjolnir." I was like, "Well, yeah."
What I thought was interesting is just the fact that, they filmed this season, then found out it was the last, if I'm correct. This season was completely done, and they found out it was going to be the last. But it came full circle with going back to, threads of Trigon and everything they had done in season 1, that this felt like a good note to kind of end the series on. And I feel like it works as a series finale when we get there. Like, it does well. It has more closure than other shows did.
It has more closure than any season of this show has had too.
Yeah, I told you.
Even better than the previous. What was it? Season 2 was, or the season 2, the finale. Like the ending was pretty good, but it had some muddy middle bits. Season 3 was better. This is definitely the best season finale.
Yeah, I told you that. I was like, they finally stick it,
right?
I
did. I said, did they finally stick the landing?
Sebastian was crazy good as Brother Blood, and he didn't don the costume till the last episode, and it looked really good.
Yeah, it looked like a really good costume. It was a really good costume. The thing I found interesting was the way his powers worked. Because we know, like from the comic books, like he bathes in blood.
Yeah.
And it gives him power, and it gives him longevity and heals him and whatnot. In this, he drank blood. Like he drank the blood of his mother and got her powers.
Pretty messed up.
Yeah, and then he absorbed her essence, and then he killed Trigon, which was a surprise.
When he was summoning Trigon, and Trigon's coming up, and I'm like, oh, all right. And then he just takes the axe and's like, well, bam, and then rips his heart out. I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah, I was surprised he had that big old heart, and then drinking the blood. That's what kind of gave him his mission, and in the finale.
And I felt bad for the girl that they were like, would you do anything for my son? And then Mother Mayhem rips her heart out. I was like, that poor woman.
Yeah.
Oh well. That's what
and
happened.
She died a virgin.
Yeah. I was like, because I even looked at Jania when we were watching it, and she's like, would you give yourself to my son? And like she hesitates. I'm like, you're in a psycho mind wipe cult, and they're talking about doing anything for anyone. Yeah, that's on the table. Like, why would you even hesitate? Like, what do you think she's talking about? But in this case, it was rip your heart out. So that was sad. But don't join a cult. That's the message. Don't join a cult. For everyone out there, just throwing that out there to you. Don't be in a cult. Let's see. Lex basically built a weapon that was supposed to use Starfire's power. And okay, so I have to ask you this question, all right? So they use the starlight, star power, right, to kill Trigon, and it doesn't work because it wasn't fully powered, okay? Connor gets hurt. He does it all on his own because he wants to. And then we see him kind of like burnt up and everything. But then his body heals and comes back, okay? So his skin would have regrown, like, and healed. Wouldn't that have regrown his hair? Me and Jeannie had a way too long of conversation about this, but I thought that I'd throw this out to you.
I don't really see that it because it was like his body was just like in a slowed down state, like we seen Superman in the past, where like his body goes into a hibernation state so he can start to recover. Kind of that Kryptonian thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't really see it as like his hair would regrow back, like repairing his skin. It's like every time that Clark has no powers and he gets hurt and damaged, like burns on his skin or whatever, is for instance like this, and then his powers return and they just start to heal, go back to normal, like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't feel that it would regrow his hair, just because he like awoke and his body was able to regenerate quicker, I just feel it's more like his body didn't heal itself, didn't regenerate that skin, because it was just trying to keep him alive. And then once he was alive and was able to awaken, like his body is able to absorb more of that solar radiation and heal itself.
Okay, works for me.
That's how I look at it, I guess.
So at the end of the final episode, I wanted okay, so they defeat Brother Blood. Of course they do. They're the Titans.
Of course they do.
And poor Sebastian, his life sucked. And they have this like scene that shows them at Christmas. It was weird because it kind of felt so out of place. Like, I was trying to figure out, is this a flash forward? Is this a could be scene? Like, but I guess it's like a glimpse into their future or something. I don't know. It was cool, but it felt interesting.
What happened there, to me, I felt like maybe it was like their last Christmas. Like their last Christmas together.
Don't do it, James. Don't do it. Don't
What?
sing it.
Oh, I'm not singing nothing.
Good. Okay.
It just is. Yeah, that's what it looked like. Maybe it was like their last Christmas together when everybody was like in a happy place and they were celebrating the holiday together and they were talking about it with each other. That's what I feel like. It was just like the last best memory they had as a group together. That's what it appeared to me, because they cut right to that. We had that little thing, and then they cut back to everybody looking at the sky, mourning her sacrifice.
Okay. All right. So the last episodes is where we finally get Tim Drake in his Robin costume, and he gets sent to Gotham.
That was the second to last episode, right?
Yeah, I think so. Because I watched them back to back. That's why I'm not 100% sure, because the penultimate is when I was gone, and then I came back, and Ginny and I just watched them back to back. So that's why I'm kind of like trying to remember which one was which. But Tim gets his costume, and he goes out and fights, and his Robin costume looks awesome.
And it does. It looks so good.
And then he's out fighting, and then he gets kind of helped from Jason. Jason shows up, and it was really cool because I almost would have liked an entire episode of just Jason and Tim, because I feel like when he did his little thing with Jason, he got more training out of it than he ever did with Dick. Like the whole time, I'm like, you can't just put Tim out there. Like he's not ready to be Robin. Like look at all
Yeah.
and there's no Batman, so now it's like Nightwing and Robin, I guess. But I was like, okay, but I liked seeing him working with Jason, Red Hood, and everything. I would have liked maybe one final shot of like Robin, Red Hood, and Nightwing together.
Right.
Just kind of the three.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if nothing else, this show gave us 3 versions of Robin, and we've really been lacking live action Robin. I mean, when you think about it, it's been 80 some years and we've only gotten 3 live action Dick Graysons, right?
Yep.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
4. Sorry. 4. We got the original from the serial.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
You got Burt Ward, then you got Chris O'Donnell, and then you got Brendan Thwaites.
Yes, sir.
And then you got, your first Jason Todd and your first Tim Drake. So.
Which is amazing. Like it's a standout show for nothing less than giving us 3 Robins.
Was 3 distinctive Robin suits?
3 distinctive Robins, 3 distinctive Robin suits. Their future counterparts, at least Nightwing and Red Hood. I love that Dick says the first time he sees him in the suit, he says, "Well, third time's a charm."
Yeah.
Being the 3rd Robin, I loved that. That was great.
If they would have
and then that what was that?
I was gonna say if they went to season 5, they just should have brought Damian in.
Right.
But continue. Sorry.
Be a little shit. More than Jason ever was.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that, and I love that shot. They were all suited up right there. Corey, Nightwing, Robin. That shot right there, the suit looks so good.
Can I just give them mad
and Raven
props?
looked great in her white.
Oh, white
in
Raven.
In her all white Raven getup. Yeah, she looked great.
I mean, they all had great arcs when you look at it from the first season to now.
And Tegan Croft, she has become such a great young actress. Just from season 1 to season 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's developed great. In her acting. I haven't seen her in anything else, but I'd love to.
Mad props for not making the Nightwing costume nanotech. Just want to throw that out there. Since that's kind of been the default for every superhero. Like, it can get a little annoying after a while. Nanotech everything.
Yeah.
Mad props for not having the Nightwing costume be nanotech. But one thing that's bothered me is like how cavalier he is about being Dick Grayson, walking around doing stuff while the other Titans are suited up, and he's not in his Nightwing gear. Couple scenes where I'm just like, why is he not suited up as Nightwing right now? Why is he Dick Grayson?
Yeah. Well, they screwed the pooch on that back in season 2. Like season 2, they did so much outside of their suits.
I still want them to release the lost finale of original season 1 that involved him really becoming Nightwing and the Doom Patrol.
Yeah, so that would be pretty cool.
Okay, so let's talk about the coolest shot in the whole flippin' thing.
With the bright red boots?
The bright red boots.
They were too red. They were too bright.
I looked at
But I got so excited. I was like, oh my God.
And I was like, why does it look like Connor's bowing? But really was him preparing for takeoff.
Flight training.
And we see Connor fly. And then did you see the little clip like after the credits?
Of him flying. He's got his hair back and he's flying.
And he's just smiling like, woo!
It's all rough though. It's like before Henry Cavill got the hang of it, like during his flying where he's all like wobbling around.
So it was awesome to finally see, like, as much as this show ended in a spot where I'm like, I want more, it did feel like we got some resolution for our characters and a good place where they all split up to go do their own thing.
Yeah, and they all seem to have like a happy ending kind of a deal. Dick
I will.
Grayson and Corey got together.
I
Some
will.
people ship them.
Yeah, I did not like the music that they ended on. Like I thought that was really lame. For the final shots and stuff.
Is that Heaven's Missing an Angel?
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's lame. I mean, I think the best ending of any season was the end of season 2, where they're walking down the street and the actual Titans theme starts the,
Yeah.
and you see Beast Boy run by as a tiger, and
Yeah, like one of the best closing shots.
I am kind of bummed that we never got a speedster at all on Titans. Wally West was always a big, and like I said before, they had really not done any double casting of heroes across the whole Berlanti projects. And so I kind of, at the time had hoped Impulse, but then they eventually brought him into the Flash. Yet he means nothing in this final season of Flash. Just heads up. So that's Titans. Titans is over. We didn't get a definitive who is Superman. It remains a mystery, just like the whole Superman inside Naomi made no sense. But we never got a. And I'm glad we didn't get a different actor. But I would have loved it if it had just been a cameo by Brandon Routh. Like that would have been perfect. Because
Yeah, I think they would have been great. Just Joshua Orpin's his physique and his size, his height. The only other one could be that would have worked in that situation would probably have been Brandon Routh. I mean, if you could have got Tom Welling in a suit at the time to do it, but still,
But
he's got his own counter.
Yeah, but he's got his own Connor. Brandon's that, like, if you go back to the Crisis, like his Superman is out there type thing, and we never really, got a whole lot. But it's just like he is someone that instead of having to recast a Superman or cast someone for like one shot as Superman or stunt cast like they did here, like you could have just really made it like a huge surprise to just have Brandon step out there for a scene as Superman, because he's already such a Superman to us all in our minds.
You see him in that Clark getup or Superman suit, and automatically it's like, yep, he fits.
Yeah, like
Fits the part.
You don't have to have any backstory. You don't have to be like, Tyler's doing his own thing, which makes sense. Poor Henry. But just having Brandon step in there would just been such an easy thing for us to feel like, oh my gosh, there's Superman and Superboy. But that's Titans. I do want to throw this out real quick that this week is the end of the Arrowverse Prime, which I think the only thing, like I said, Titans technically was part of the Arrowverse because it was Berlanti produced and mentioned on Crisis, it's part of the extended Arrowverse. But it's over now. Doom Patrol will be ending whenever it comes back for the final part of its season. But Flash will end this week, and we will be talking our thoughts on the Flash, but that won't air till in June during a special event that we have coming up. So, but that is our final thoughts here on this lovely, lovely day. Okay, there is one more thing. I have to back up. My bad. Can we just say how sad I am for Titus Welliver?
Is that something I haven't seen?
No, I mean just the fact he was cast as Lex Luthor for one episode and dies.
Oh, Titus Oliver. Gotcha. Yeah, I was like, hold on, like I got lost. It's confused.
You're like, what the hell are you talking about, Tyler?
No,
I just because the whole time he died, like we were like, oh, he's gonna come back, like something's gonna happen. Nah, man, like he was Lex Luthor straight up for an episode and died, and that was it. And like he's a great actor, so I was like, oh wow, like that's it, really?
And I loved his part. I loved his turn as Lex. The little bit we got.
And that's why it just it blows my mind. Like I just wow, poor dude. So anyways, so that's Titans season 4. Another connected Kryptonian show that has ended. We've lost 3. We have 1 left. So that's kind of cool, though, that we've had it.
I enjoyed it. Season 4 was probably one of the best. There's been so much good throughout this show. You know, in my opinion, the good outweighs the questionable choices made.
Yeah.
For the most part, throughout the show as a whole. You know, each season had so much really great stuff and so many great episodes. But then they approached those lines and then they just pulled the reins back because they, I don't know, had to subvert expectations.
Or they just suck. Because, I mean, let's not forget that Akiva Goldsman is one of the producers on the show, and he was, you know, the person who wrote Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. So, and he wrote some of the scripts for this show. Went a little different there, Akiva, but it's all good.
Yeah.
All right, it's getting late.
I think it was probably the rest of the production crew that made the show what it is. Definitely not him.
Yeah. From James and I, it's late. Let's get out of here. Remember,
Look up in the sky.
we just want to say if you've enjoyed this podcast, please check out other podcasts on the Press Play Podcast Network. $1 a month, you'll get extra special content that you don't get on the main show, like movie commentaries and whatever else comes out of our mouths. So check it out, patreon.com/Krypton. We're going to press pause and hear a few words from our other podcasts on Press Play Podcast Network.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us and then listen in.
Before we start this episode of Krypton Report, I want to take a moment and just give a shout out here to our Patreon. I know what you're thinking. Gosh, everyone's asking for money, and I get it. But our Patreon is only $1. $1 a month that helps us keep the podcast going. And what we do is we try to find interesting shows and topics and whatever we want to talk about. We've done, as of this little thing, our last recordings were on the Scream series. Brian and Tyler, that's me, do our own show where we record in the car, and it's kind of funny. And we talk about pop culture or whatever is going on. We also have the Supernatural podcast we've been reworking. It's taken on some time just because of life. But we do movie commentaries as well. It's something that James and I have done, what we used to do on the main show that we've started doing here. So for $1 a month on our Patreon, you can get those shows. There's at least 4 a month. Also, there's my movie pitch show that I do. But also, what we want is if you're a Patreon, you can come on. You can come on the main show if you want. Or if there's something you want to come on and talk about, we can do it as a Patreon special. So all I want is for $1 a month, think about chipping in, joining our Patreon, and you have a voice to be a part of things. Follow the link in the link tree or in the show notes below, patreon.com/Krypton Report.
If you are like Tyler and James and can't get enough super talk, check out these other podcasts. Digging for Kryptonite, Supergirl Radio, The Last Sons of Krypton, The Superboy Legacy Podcast, All-Star Superfans, Superman the Animated Podcast, The Aspiring Kryptonians, Always Hold On to Smallville, The Geek of Steel, and Truth, Justice, and Hope.
Remember to check out Krypton Report on all social media platforms. Go to linktree.com/Krypton Report. Find out all of our report.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.